it's been great, and had a look at the property, and we're just excited because it's just.
We're going to be eating the beef next week in our lunch.
Yeah,
it's going to be fantastic. We've used it before. It's grass-fed Angus beef, and the marbling and the fat on the actual animal is really yellow, as opposed to white fat that's probably been from a grain-fed animal. And that's why we're here to look at the grass animals eaten.
And go back to the source. So get to the soil to find where all this beautiful produce is coming from. And so,
I guess farming is something that I've always been involved with, and beef cattle farming is the thing that I knew about. And why we take the approach that we do, I guess. Everything that I do, I've got to feel good about what I do, and to sort of leave a small footprint on the planet, and try and produce something that I'm happy eating and I'm happy feeding to my family. And we're fortunate to be in a position where we can make that available to other people, and to be able to grow something. And as I say, I'm happy to feed my kids the meat, and so make it available to others.
And what have been some of the challenges, I guess, with doing this type of business? Because it is different. Because if we've got a lot of feedlots in Australia, and about 80% of the beef that's in supermarkets now is coming from a feedlot and a confined animal feeding operation, and grain-fed and using large amounts of antibiotics. And what you're doing is a lot more challenging, and there's a lot more to manage doing it in this way. So what's some of the larger challenges you have with?
I guess the number one issue is Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And whenever you're growing anything that relies on Mother Nature, you have to put up with the vagaries that comes with that. And that means that sometimes it rains and the grass grows, and sometimes it doesn't rain so much and the grass doesn't grow as much.
Yeah.
And when you're farming beef cattle, effectively you're a grass grower.
Yeah.
And that's your number one job is to grow grass, and to grow good grass that's going to allow the cattle to grow and be finished. But Mother Nature's the greatest challenge. There's vagaries, whether it's heat, whether it's cold, whether it's wet, whether it's not wet. And that's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And the thing that falls out of that is that the actual product itself reflects.
An expression of that.
It reflects that.
It's that diversity.
That's right. And for me, it expresses what nature's doing. But the challenge then is for the consumer. That means that sometimes the cuts of meat might be bigger or smaller than last time. And those sorts of things.
But for the time being, the people who are involved are so passionate that that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Small number.
Yeah.
It's a good thing for us.
Oh, totally.
That makes it good for us, because then we can find those people and then do what we try to do.
Just get people to vote with their dollars, so they know this is what you're voting for. If you get Taraga spring beef, this is where it's going. It's going back into this family, and for them to do what they're doing really well out here, and then that encourages other people to make that conversion as well, so they understand. But there's things that we're learning about grass-fed beef and the health of the animals, but also the health of the tissues that we're consuming, and then that's passed on to us, and then when you've got the other side of it, we're seeing that expression in that food chain when people are consuming these animals that aren't very healthy, and antibiotic resistance in the bacteria, all of that's coming through because these grain-fed animals that aren't too happy. That's great.
So why don't we talk a little bit about where we can get the beef from, and also the difference between the way it's hung as well. That was cool what we just learned about the cryo-packing and hanging it, which doesn't really make sense. So if we could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing that's important for us is we go to so much trouble to grow the product that we do. Once it gets to a butcher, we can lose control of the process, and between the butcher and the plate, there are so many things that can go wrong. The way the meat gets aged is one issue, and the way it gets prepared, and then obviously the way it gets cooked. And you can't control the way, if people take it home and cook it, you can't control that.
Yeah.
So whether they have a good or a bad experience, unfortunately, can sometimes come down to what they did with the cut of meat. There's not much I can do about that.
No.
People who cook.
Marty's trying to get that out there to educate the world.
But again, that's an education process, because there's so much.
There's so many variables
in
all the way
an
along.
animal. That's right. That doesn't get used because people don't know what to do with it. But there are tremendous things you can do. With some of the cuts that people don't commonly use.
Yeah, that's right.
And so then with the butchers, dry aging the meat is important, and whether that's for at least a week, preferably 2, but we do have some butchers, as I said earlier, who age for 3 to 4.
Which means hanging it on a hook in a
cool room.
Cool room.
That's right, which allows some of the moisture, some of the water from the carcass to evaporate and concentrate the flavours, and also the enzymes start to break down some of the sort of tougher tissue and membranes and things like that. And that's great for the end result. I guess in contrast, efficiency in some of the other areas of the industry has led to this cryovacuum and sort of what they call wet aging, which I don't think can achieve the same sort of result. I don't think it can get close.
And once again, it's consumer education as to understand the difference.
That's right.
So they can, and then it's up to Marty.
Cryovacuum is great to preserve, but not to age.
That's right.
But if you buy your meat fresh and then you cook it straight away, you don't need to cryovac.
True.
Preserve.
Yeah.
Eat whole fresh food.
Eat whole. That's one of the. We've got the foundations that we want to get out there, and that's think before you buy, breathe with the belly, use a water filter, and then eat whole fresh food. That's another big one.
So where can we get your meat just in the last minute that we've got left?
Cooter Valley at Engadine, Pino at Cogra, Colin at Hudson's Links,
Which is in Surrey Hills.
at Surrey Hills. They're probably the 3 main guys.
And apart from that, we sell quantities, like larger quantities, sides and half sides, to people who
People like me.
Cowshed.
Or people who've got large freezers as well.
People with big freezers and big families.
So then you get the variety of cuts, everything from the side, all cut in different ways.
That's
Packaged.
awesome.
That's
With
so
the fat still on it.
Yes.
Very good stuff.
Wonderful fat.
So you can come and test it at the next Solar Plate.
This Sunday, 8th of
Next Sunday,
June.
the 8th of June.
It's going to be great. And Marty's going to have some recipes with it as well.
Yeah.
We're going to film and get those out there so you can transform it into something amazing. So I'll see you next time, and thank you. Sorry for the name.
That's okay. No, I don't mind. I'm happy that you came.
No, thanks so much for today.
Sarah and husband.
The husband.
The husband.
Yeah. Ciao. Thank you.